Welcome to WP Coffee Talk with your podcast barista, Michelle Frechette. Special thanks to our amazing sponsors, Century Hosting, Expander Digital, and GoWP. WP Coffee Talk is a proud supporter of Big Orange Heart, whose mission is to support and promote positive well-being and mental health within remote working communities. Please consider a donation to Big Orange Heart to continue to support this great mission. Welcome to the next episode of WP Coffee Talk, where I get to speak with people in the WordPress community all over the world. And today I am very blessed to be talking to Brad Morrison of GoWP. How are you, Brad?
I am doing well, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show. I've been dying to get you on here because we always laugh so much when we talk at camps and on your Friday afternoon happy hours and things like that. So unless you suddenly become like Mr. Serious, this is going to be a fun time.
If I do, it's only because I'm nervous. I get nervous when the camera starts rolling. So So
I really find that to be hard to believe. You command the camera. You do.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. You and I, of course, have known each other. I don't actually know when we actually met. It's kind of like our paths have just crossed so much. And
Yep.
And I'm just so grateful to be invited to your Friday happy hours. And those are so much fun where people get to share what's going on. And also, thank you for being a sponsor of the show. I mean, you guys have been a sponsor since early on.
Yes.
And, more than just the sponsorship, I feel like I've got you guys in my corner. You're my cheerleaders and just constantly feel uplifted by GoWP. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and we feel the exact same way. So, and I love friendships and partnerships like this, and love what you're doing. And so we fully support you, and this is really cool. And thank you for having me on. This is awesome. So I know Emily made everyone on the team listen to her podcast where she had we literally a team exercise now. But so since that point, it's like I want to go on there too, Emily. So.
And before your episode is on, Kaylin's will be on too.
Kaylin's, so, that's right.
Yeah. I just recorded her a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and she said she was really happy about it. She was like, we laughed the entire time. So
we did. My cheeks hurt. Yeah, my face hurts from smiling too much. That's not a bad problem to have.
That's right.
Especially with all this quarantine and COVID and all that other things. If you can have, half hour with a friend and you can laugh, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Yes, very needed during this time. That's why, the happy hours you mentioned, thank you for coming to those. And it's that's why we do those, is just to have some fun. I mean, we talk about some business stuff, and we talk about some things people can implement in their business. We have people that are a lot smarter than myself come on the show to give their insight and feedback. But it's really just so we can see each other and laugh and smile, and can't give each other hugs right now, but it's as close as we can get.
Virtual high fives, right?
That's right. Yep.
And it really does feel like that hive mind, when you can really get all those thought leaders in a space together. But when you look at a beehive, it's all those little compartments, and that's what the Zoom meeting is like too.
Yes, absolutely.
An actual hive.
Yeah, it is a hive. It's like a Brady Bunch kind of thing going on. It's but it's neat. It's just really, and awesome. I never know what direction those are going to go in, and that's kind of the same as it would be if you were sitting around a table at an after party at a WordCamp, right? You're just gonna have a conversation and talk, and it goes whatever direction, and that's what's so cool about it. So yeah,
it's super cool. So tell us the nutshell version. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. I know, you're in Georgia, is that right?
I'm in Georgia. Yeah, okay. I'm just north of Atlanta, in the metro area in Atlanta. So, town called Roswell, which is probably 20 miles from the city center proper, but only 5 or 6 from
no aliens.
No aliens. They do, it's funny. They don't really play up on that as much as they should. I'd be all over that, but the only thing I've seen is they do an alien fun run. I think once a year, and they do it in the evening, and it's lighted and stuff like that. But I think that's really all I've ever seen here. And I wonder sometimes, because there's competition between the two. When you look up restaurants in Roswell, right? You can get, depending on where you are, right? You can get things from Roswell, New Mexico. And I wonder if there's a little bit of competition. So they're we're not that Roswell. I don't know.
Maybe that's where Preston came from. He's a little alienish.
He's, all right. So there is a huge, Preston is our logo, and there is a huge debate on, is he an alien or a robot? And so we like, it's probably 50-50 that the people that come down on that, like alien or robot. And so when we built him, it was a robot. Like when we created him, it was a robot, but now it's like, even I question it. So,
well, have you seen Lost in Space?
Yes.
There are alien robots. Why can't he not be both?
That is a good point. That's a really good point. Solving the problem.
Right?
Which
came first, the chicken or the egg? It doesn't matter. Enjoy your breakfast.
That's good stuff. I'm going to use that though. That's really good.
So. It's all yours. It's all yours. And GoWP, just give us the tagline of what GoWP is. We're going to talk a little more about it.
Sure. Yeah, we are a white label service provider for WordPress agencies. So we basically take things that an agency owner or an agency can do. They can do it, but they may not want to do it, not the best use of their time. We've kind of built some services to handle that for them and do it at scale. So things like maintenance and content edits and page builds. And so, yeah.
That's good. I can't wait to dive into that more because I used to be an agency owner, and so that's going to be a good conversation. I'll share some of my horror stories with you.
Yeah.
Of why I should have been using you 8 years ago.
Yeah. We were an agency. I've seen it. I've like the reason we do it is because I've made every mistake there is, right? And I've seen it. It's like, hey, yeah, let's do something to solve that. So
yeah, exactly. Well, show us your mug. I know you got a mug. Okay. You showed it to me before.
I do. This is a mug that I recently refound, I'll say. So it is an accountant mug.
What does it say under
that? It says accountant and client. That's who's sitting at the desk. And it says figures can't lie, but liars can figure. And so... And obviously we could go in that direction today too, but anyway, it's the reason this is very sentimental to me. And again, I just found it like maybe 3 or 4 days ago. My wife was redoing like where like the mugs are to get them closer to the Keurig. And so moved them and she's like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So this was my father's mug. And it was a gift from my mother to my father. My father died when I was 13. And so anytime I have something like that that's my father's, it's obviously very sentimental and ties me to him, and it's really cool. And so after refinding it, I was like, I'm going to go on a podcast where we're going to talk about mugs. So this is absolutely perfect. And so that's what I'm drinking, and in honor of him. And then he was an accountant, by the way. He was a CPA. And
I kind of got that from the mug.
Yep. So and then it has tea in it. So I'm drinking a mint tea. So
the mint Tazo is my favorite.
Yep, that's what I got.
It's really good. I saw the Tazo tag in there. Yep. Well, I've never shown 2 mugs on the show before, but I'm going to show 2 mugs today because I recently got a mug in the mail a couple weeks ago. That's the second mug I'm going to show you, or a week ago. But I got one in the mail today from Megan Haynes, who has been on the show before, and she's in Canada. The other day, she just said to me, "What's your address? I'm sending you something." Okay, I like surprises, so I said,
"That's fun."
I came into the office. I got my car worked on today. I came back to the office to this mug. I always hold things wrong in here. It says, "We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents." And the other side is Bob Ross. And as you fill it with hot water, it actually paints a picture. You can see here. So
that is so cool.
We'll have happy little trees when I have something hot in there, probably tomorrow morning. Happy little trees. I made a meme a few years ago, or last year, when I was doing a talk about how to empower your clients to update their sites or to use their sites, but also client-proof them at the same time. And when I said there are no accidents, only happy little opportunities to make money.
I love it.
Which you can appreciate because that's why you exist.
Absolutely.
But the mug I got last week was actually a result of the episode that I had Kaylin on. I asked her to show me her mug, and she showed me this.
Nice.
And I said, how does somebody, whose podcast you're supporting, score one of these? And she said, message me your address. So I did, and now I'm the proud owner of a Preston mug.
That is awesome. So there's Preston. So Alien Robot Preston. I love it. That's awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and maybe one day I'll get one of those as well. So.
We were talking before the show that I think I got your mug, and I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not mad at that. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
good mug. I'm happy.
So,
I'm just
very
drinking
cool.
water. I just had a
Yeah.
ginormous Starbucks, and so I thought more coffee would probably actually spin me right out of the room. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. I debated bourbon, I'll be honest. But I was like, it's 5:00 on a Thursday afternoon. We can do that. But yeah, to fill it up, I probably should stay with tea. So.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was still at home as opposed to the office, I was gonna bring my bourbon too. But I don't have any here, so there goes that.
Got it.
So how did you get started in WordPress?
Good question. So I guess 2004, I was building websites on my own just as a side gig while I was teaching school, and so I built sites that were. I'm not a developer, and I was building sites just any way that I could, right? And there were some good content management systems at the time. I mean, that's like a year after WordPress was created, so I wasn't using WordPress. WordPress wasn't an easy way to build like normal like websites for like a restaurant or a business. And so I was building them using, I guess Mambo is what it was first, and then it kind of forked into Joomla. So I built a lot of Joomla sites on my own, and sold those to local businesses where I lived at the time. And then I guess probably 2007 or 2008, I kept always reevaluate. I mean, I am a geek, so I'd like look and say, okay, what other systems are out there that I can play around with that might offer more, do more than what I'm using now. And so I always reevaluated WordPress, and there were some freelancers in the town I was in that used WordPress and were very good with it. And it just never quite clicked with me because I'd sit with them and that was like, okay, build a menu for this business. And they do that. And it's like, I mean, in Joomla, I can just click add new and like add the menu item, and like it's easy, and you can't really do that yet in WordPress. And so we happened to land a project that just needed WordPress. I don't even remember the details of it, but I knew like it needed WordPress. And so I knew enough to know that, but I didn't know how to use it really myself. And so this was probably WordPress 2.6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. I don't remember, but it was before 3.0. So 2000 and in 2007, 2008 maybe. And then so what I did is I hired a developer to help with that project, and so that was really the start. He did a great job on that project, and then I used him a few more times for just freelance projects. He eventually became kind of my partner in the business, like Lucas, who is still with us today. That's great, and so that has worked out really well. But we started on just some freelance projects at the time, and it was me wanting to use WordPress but not knowing how to use WordPress. And so when Lucas came on board, we completely shifted and never built a Joomla website. I wish I could say never supported a Joomla site, but I never built another Joomla website, which Joomla was great and provided a great living for me for 5 years, so it was a good system. But after we used WordPress and went all in, there was no looking back.
Yeah, it seems to me that like a lot of us do that, right? So I realize, and I've said this to other people before, that WordPress isn't always the best solution. It's probably 95%, but it isn't 100% always the best solution. I had a class a few years back, and it was all just beginning, like 101. They'd never logged into a site, whatever. And so there was 5 people in the class. It was 8 weeks, 3 hours a week. And by the end, 2 people actually had sites they could use. Maybe 3 out of the 5. The other 2 never really caught on to how to do anything, but they kept coming back and plugging along. And one person wanted a blog, and one person wanted to set up a website or understand how to work on a website for a local gardening society. Another person had a taxi cab company, just needed a brochure site. And the one guy at the end who, like, so tech illiterate, wanted to build the next Airbnb.
Yeah.
I said, we're not going to get there in this class, but just kind of play along and we'll see what happens.
I applaud the ambition, but yeah,
exactly.
And sometimes I think that's it's almost deceiving sometimes with the simplicity of it, and that it's powerful just out of the box. Oh, click. Now users can log in and they can do, right? You can do some advanced functionality. So you tend to think, oh, well, this is basically Facebook, right? And so it's like, no, there's a whole lot behind the scenes, but to WordPress's credit, it does, like, if you were building an app from scratch, just something like user login, that's something you'd have to spend some time doing, and it's already built in, and it's that times many, many, many features, which is really cool.
And somebody did say to me once that you could build an Airbnb out of WordPress, but it's going to be somebody with a lot more sophisticated skills than me. So I'll just put that caveat in there.
Right.
It's going to require some custom coding somewhere along the way.
Yep, for sure. So, and I'm amazed at what developers can do with it. Like, they do things that you never, So,
I mean, I work in a plugin company, and like every day I'm just in awe. I get to demonstrate and show how it works, but I have no idea, like, under the hood, I can see, but I don't know how to make it work, so totally different skill set for sure. So you are in a great position to answer the next question too, because I mean, a lot of people look at websites. We all look at websites all day, every day. I don't care who you are, whether you're kindergarten or Matt Mullenweg. We're looking at websites all day, every day. But you actually are, under the hood and looking at some websites. So what do you think is something that we as, builders, designers, developers aren't focusing enough attention on to make websites a better experience for the end user?
So I would take that from what we see every day on the maintenance side and the content edit side, the two parts of our business. I don't think, and it's not a new concept or unique to WordPress, like total cost of ownership. Like you buy a computer back in the day and you don't really think about like what it's going to take to support that or keep it updated. Or I think that's something that is just still very neglected in our space. And I'm speaking about site owners themselves, and I'm speaking about agencies that are building sites for site owners. A lot of times that they try to solve a problem by let's install a quick plugin and it does that thing. Well, what happens when it doesn't get updated and the rest of the things that, or it gets updated, but the other dependencies don't get updated on it, right? So other extensions or things that work alongside of it. I think that's something that, and I don't always do a good job. I have found that WordPress developers in general, usually do a really good job thinking through that. But business owners don't really do a good job thinking through that. So I think that, and that's why, like, when you're choosing like a plugin, for example, like really research it. Don't just, I'm just going to have like a process for how you're going to like test this and compare it against others, and keep a spreadsheet and look at reviews and how often is it updated, and look at the change log and look at really do some research before you put just let's say a $5,000 to $30,000 website in a lot of cases that people are building. Before you put that business on that platform using that, make sure you do the research, I think. So I guess that would be one big thing that I see.
I think that's a great answer, because most of the time people are focusing on, the front end of things, which, yes, it's visual, but the back end of things really does affect the end user as well.
Big time.
Especially if, let's say, you put in a plugin for a form that pretty much has been deprecated, and now you can't actually get any information into your website because nobody can actually use the form. So there's a lot that goes into that. So no, thanks for that insight. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. And we see the other thing is like things like even like form submissions, like using a transactional email service as opposed to just relying on the server, or right. So like that matters when a business is not getting leads in, because none of the, and we like, that's something that we hear, we see it where a business owner like they're like, my forms aren't coming in. And I feel like this has just been happening the last few days. And you look in and for 3 weeks, they haven't gotten the 48, leads that are showing up in the back end, but not being sent to them. And it's like
that are now dead because it's taken so long to reply to them.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah.
My least, if I can just interject too, my least favorite form plugin is one that doesn't actually save the information in a database.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work, you've lost
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So been there.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
No, not fun. Not fun. I filled out your form. Oh, I didn't get it. And you look at the back end and you're like, and there's no database.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Great. Yeah, for sure. When you think back over your time using WordPress, what's something that you've learned that you wish you'd known earlier in the process that would have made life a little simpler?
Good question.
I wrote them all myself.
So they're very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one is probably more of being a business owner in the WordPress space than WordPress specific, and it would be um, create recurring services sooner. We did it in 2014, but we had 10 years of agency life before that. And there were so many ups and downs and just struggles that we had early on that could have been resolved by having productized services or recurring services that work with each other sooner. And then the other thing about that is the longer you wait to develop those services, from this point forward, you hope that every month is a little bit better than the month before. But imagine if you could, accelerate that by 3 years, right? Go back further on, you'd be a lot further ahead now. So I think that would be the one thing, is just the power of recurring revenue. And yeah, we did it in 2014, but I wish we had done it 5-10 years before that.
I can totally appreciate that, because there got a point in freelancing and having my own little agency where things got out of control because I didn't have a plan to keep people with recurring revenue and all those kinds of things. And so I'm constantly scrambling for the next job and wondering where the next paycheck's coming. So yeah, that's actually very, very good advice.
Yeah, and it's something I think that almost all, like you said, like you're focused on the project. You want to build the project and then you move on. And the client, like, I think that was kind of a wake up call for us, is like, we had clients that, and it's probably your experience too, clients that loved us throughout the build process. We launched the website, everybody's fine. They might have said, okay, can you also put up billboards for me? Or could you do these other things, right? And we're like, no, we're a web shop, we don't. And they may have gone somewhere else to get that, right? Well, that place that they went may be the new web developer also. Or what happened to us is we would, customers that we had such a great experience with, they send us like an RFP. And it's like, oh, we're going to bid this out. It's not big companies, but they send us, we're ready to bid this out again. And would you like to submit a proposal for redoing our website that you built 3 years ago? It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. And then, but you have to look at yourself. I can't blame them. I didn't have anything in place to retain that customer.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think about that and I'm like, we left a lot of money on the table just by not keeping our customers.
Yeah. I think part of that too is that sometimes customers, in a way you're lucky that they did ask you to rebid on it, because sometimes people think that they're offending you when they're ready for a redesign. Like that maybe even though it's been 3 years, right? That like, he's going to think that he didn't do a good enough job. So I'm just going to like quietly get somebody else to rebuild it. Like you'll never notice.
Right. Yeah. Until you tell people, oh, check out domain.com. We rebuilt that. It's like, oh, wait, that's not our site.
No. Whether you would like to claim the design or not, it's not your name.
That's right. That's right.
For sure. When you think back over the different WordPress experiences you've had, whether it was WordCamps or meetups or other events, is there a moment, or kind of like I would say, like the aha moment, a pivotal experience that you had that really made a difference for you? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, I think for me, that is probably putting on kind of the volunteer hat with WordPress, which I co-organize the North Fulton WordPress meetup here in Atlanta. And I love those meetings. I love them. The meetups are just, it's a once a month meetup, and we haven't had it in a few months now in person. And I wish we could, but at some point we'll meet again. I miss the folks that are in it. And I just love sitting around with WordPress users. It's probably 40 to 50% people that build websites in some capacity. And then the other half, or a little more than half, are just WordPress users, people that have their own blog to talk about their sustainable farming they're doing, that they do. They just maybe work at a nonprofit and they handle the website, and they're coming here because there's no one at their organization that can train them or help them, and they come with questions. And it's these aren't really people that even some of them, a percentage would go to like WordCamp Atlanta. But a lot of them don't, even though we talk about WordCamp Atlanta every time. Like,
right.
As being an organizer of WordCamp Atlanta, we want people there. But there are quite a few folks that come, and they come to get help. They come to help others. They come to just hang out, have pizza and a beer, and talk WordPress, which is cool. And they come to get reviews on their site or to share something that they've done, which is neat. And so that meetup, I absolutely love it, because it's easy in, I guess, the world of dealing with agency owners that and people that are always traveling and going to WordCamps. And there are different layers of the community, right? And really, layers is probably not even good. There's just different groups within the WordPress community segments. And that's one that I don't see them on our happiness hour calls on Friday afternoon. I don't see them, we're not talking to them through our normal service. And I'm not seeing them at WordCamp Miami. They're really only there. And they're there because that group exists. So, and one specific example from that I like, my friend Steve, who I met through the meetup, by coming to the meetup. He's a stroke survivor, and he has a resource website to help other stroke survivors. And it's just the coolest thing. It was a normal, like, happiness bar type thing, right? Where everyone's trying to, bring your questions. We'll all just work with you. And we really spent one entire meeting helping Steve kind of, I don't say rebuild, but redo sections of his site. And it was cool. He had some great questions, and he's very proficient with WordPress. But there were, imagine 20 people sitting around, all focused and working on that one site for the entire, really almost probably a 2-hour period. And that was really cool. And he's told that story several times too, about what it meant to him and how cool it was. And that's not a normal, like, we're so used to stuff like that because it's how the WordPress community is. But like that other meetups, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in other places. And so it's like, so that's it. Like, I love that.
I think that's amazing. And you're right. That is the WordPress community. Like, if I go to a meetup for photography, everybody's trying to outdo each other. Yeah. Like, get the better shot and tell you why they're a better photographer than you. But you go to a WordPress meetup and it's like the person who's like got the most experience is helping the person with the least experience.
That's
so
right.
that they can bring their skill levels up too. Or if it's not even about that, it's about just that one site, helping them make the best of it. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. For sure.
Very, very cool. And I'm always too, like, even with half of the people being like building websites for others, you could look at that and say they compete against each other, right? They all live kind of in the same area and they're trying to get business. There has I don't know that I have ever felt like a spirit of competition at any of the Atlanta WordPress meetups, which is pretty incredible, because where I moved from, we did not have a regular WordPress meetup, and we're suspicious of the other web developer in town, and the same 3 companies are going up for every big bid, so it's just natural competition. And within the WordPress community, especially at like events, everyone's helping each other. There's no competition. I love it. So
I love that too. People used to ask me why I would teach WordPress classes. Aren't you creating your own competition? And I would laugh. I mean, my title when I had my own company was Marketing Diva, because I just thought that was fun and it opened up a lot of conversations. But I'd say things like, "Oh, honey, they're not at my level yet," just to be funny. But then I would say, honestly, I said, number one, there's plenty of business to go around. Yeah. And number 2, I'm not doing this forever, and somebody else is going to take over when I'm gone too, right? It's opportunity for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, love it's the perfect attitude. That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about GoWP. I did in February, I think I did one of your lunchtime webinars.
Oh, cool.
the 404 experience and 404 pages and that kind of stuff. I actually did a mock-up for
GoWP.
I did a mock-up for GoWP too.
Yeah, you need to come back and do another one. So
that would be a lot of fun.
Not mock-up. You come back and do another webinar. So yeah, we'd love to have you. So
I would love to do that. That was a lot of fun. But it brings me to like, so yeah, you're white label agency. You're doing the backups. You're doing the, you know, the content changes that people need. You're running security. You're doing the updates. All the things that we think of when we do those things. But you guys are doing so much more. So you are not just. I hate the word just when people say I'm just at this, but you're not just doing that. And so I'm using the word properly because you're all over the community helping people, kind of like what you're just talking about in your local meetup, but you're running webinars for folks in the agency and not even just agency, but independent freelancers and business owners. Webinars over the lunch hour, you're doing your Friday afternoon happy hours, you're constantly putting out content to help other people. So talk a little bit about GoWP. Obviously, you could talk about what you do as an agency, but talk about how you're going far beyond that.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of that comes down to like we love people, we love the WordPress community, and we love our customers. That's the other thing is like, so we're not like the type of company that like focuses on like, no one's doing cold sales, like, right? No one's doing like, it's really just, let's work. I mean, you can build a company any way you want to. We choose to build ones like, let's work with people we like working with and like all work together and help each other. That same spirit that we see in the meetups, let's try to do that in our business life also. So I think that's kind of the thing. And we're very targeted on who our customer is. Our customer is, it's agencies, and it can be freelancers, right? Like agencies can be tiny, one person, right? They can be really big, multiple offices, hundreds and hundreds of people, a lot of devs. So some of our customers have developers in-house, some of them don't. Some of them, it's a partnership where they have, maybe there's a designer and a developer and they come together and the two of them build all websites and support all websites, and they hit a capacity issue where they need help. But we are, like I said, white label services for WordPress agencies. So within that, so the community is built around like us. It's a community of agency owners. Within the service offering, we have a maintenance subscription, we have a content edit subscription, and then we have the new page build subscription. So there's 3 kind of subscriptions, but there will be more. And it's all based on what does this community that we do spend a lot of time investing in, that we love working with, what are their pain points? What are they struggling with? What do they need help with? Do they need more services that they can resell, like recurring services to resell to their customers? We've got that with maintenance and we've got that with content edits, and we'll have that with other things. Do they need help with the fulfillment side of things? Do they need like to offload their page build outs? Like, so they give a design file to us and then our team takes that and actually builds it out in the page builder. That's the new page build service. These are all things that the agency owner can do. And in some cases, their end client can do it, but it's not the best use of their time. And so what we say is you can offload your important but low value work, and so that you can focus on your more important, higher value work. And so you're kind of offloading things to free up your time to maximize your usage. And so that's, or the time, your own internal resources. So that's what we do. And a lot of the community and the help that we do, it is to provide help because, you know, we again, lift everyone up, but it's also, we need to be involved in that. I don't run an agency anymore. And so the only way I'm going to find out on what tools are people using now, how are things changing, where can we fit into that, is there a need for us to create something that can help the agency owner, is by talking to them and, you know, sitting around on a happiness hour call or through an onboarding conversation or, you know, whatever it is.
I think that's great. I really appreciate that. If I had known about things like that when I was freelancing, I probably would have been more successful, first of all, because there were things I just didn't enjoy doing. You know, I did finally outsource like billing because I hate asking people for money. But if you work and you don't ask people for money, you don't have a job for very long.
Right.
So I mean, so there are all those little pain points like you talked about. Actually, I wrote a book. I don't know if you've seen my book. It's called so the title's really unfortunate because of COVID. It's called A Good Firm Handshake and Other Essential Business Tips. I'm going to have to write part 2 and call it like In Lieu of the Handshake or something. But I have a chapter on why you should outsource things. And it goes back to my MBA. We talked about core competencies. And it doesn't mean you're incompetent at other things. It means that there are things you enjoy and things you do well. And those other things you can let other people fulfill for you, because you actually make more money when you pay somebody else to do those little things.
That's right. Yep.
And
that's
so
right.
Everything you just said like totally hits on that chapter and hits on half of my MBA program. So
it's scalability, and it's sometimes it may be to fill a gap. I mean, maybe you outsource until it makes more financial sense to do it, to bring it in house. Maybe it depends. And that's one thing is like with what we do. And again, talking to so many people, what works for the freelancer may not necessarily work for the large agency that has a full-time staff. So there's people use us kind of in different ways. And with the kind of increasing service line that we have, that's fine. Like, they may only use us for maintenance. They don't have the need on page builds or on content edits, or maybe it's just content edits, and you can do that. But ultimately, that's kind of the goal. But yeah,
and the white label part of it means that they can still make money off of your services, because they can charge what they want and then outsource it to you. So.
Our team becomes their team, and so it's under their brand, and they bill their customer whatever they want to bill their customer.
Yeah, it's brilliant, just brilliant. And you have such a great team of people. I haven't met everybody yet, but the people I've met, I am just super impressed with the team that you've collected over there. So
it's definitely one of those like hire people smarter than yourself, and that's what I have done from day one. And it has we have an incredible team. And I'm blown away every day. They're all so good at what they do. And it's as a business owner, like it's really freeing. And it's one of those where, it's almost like the outsourcing, right? Where I don't do our bookkeeping. I pay someone to do our bookkeeping, and that makes the most sense because they're professionals. That's what they do. I have peace of mind, and the books are just going to show up when they're supposed to show up. You hire the right people. You hire professionals and experts in every area. It's the same thing. And so sometimes I'm a little I don't say discouraged, but I'm a little bit like what do I bring? What do I can't what am I it's hard for me to jump into marketing and say, which falls under the growth team, which is Emily and Kaylin, and to say, hey, maybe we should do this with SEO or I'm not qualified to do that. So it's I'm not. And so I'll come up sometimes with some ideas and say, hey, maybe this is good, but it's really cool to be able to just trust the team and have them do it. Yeah.
I've been on teams and worked for teams before where the owner of the company or the CEO or whatever the structure was, in this case specifically, it was an owner of a school, always had to be right and always had to know more than everybody else. And those teams fail.
That's right.
There's huge turnover. There's because if you're hiring me because I know my job, let me do my job. It's not to say that you shouldn't veto things when they don't make sense, but certainly you should listen to everybody else's ideas because that's what you're paying them for. So.
Yeah, you'll always hold yourself back if you try to do that. That's not, it's and it's discouraging for employees too. You don't want an employee to feel I'm going to spend this amount of effort and then someone who is not in my line of work, honestly, that doesn't have my years of expertise in this field is going to come and say, no. So
exactly. Well, it sounds to me like one of your primary talents is assembling the right teams too. So kudos to you.
Hiring is, and we've in the agency world, we struggled there at times too. I remember our probably third developer that we hired, great individual, but we weren't getting the work done. It just didn't work out. And it literally, when you're charging wrong, billing wrong, and you're doing the 50% up front and the 50%, and you're not collecting half of the money until the project gets out the door, you have a really big project, you suddenly you're not, look at your cash flow. You're killing it if you're not being productive and getting stuff gone. And so that was one of the wake up calls to me, is even as a team of 4, I guess at the time, maybe even 5, but the third developer, that one issue can sink the company. And when you're starting out, that's important. And so so hiring becomes really, really important, because if you don't get it right, it impacts your ability to feed the mouths of a lot of families that are
Right.
working on your team. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown in that case,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's right.
Absolutely. Well, let me move into our rapid fire questions. I'm anxious to hear some of your answers here.
Okay.
I never want to put people on the spot, especially people in your position. So when I ask about plugins, if you want to talk about specific plugins, that's great. If you'd rather talk about types of plugins, that's okay too. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what are 2 or 3 must-have plugins that you would recommend to somebody building their own website?
I laugh because my developers, or our development team, would say that I have never met a plugin that I don't like.
Okay, so
Like,
what's at the
oh,
top? What's at the
yeah.
top?
So yeah, because I'm the one that installs a lot of stuff. So I would, for me, structure is important. So things like ordering the, I'm not going to mention specifics, because there's always an alternative that
Sure.
but ordering the pages in the admin panel, for example, like that like being able to nest pages up underneath each other. That's really important to me. So like things like that make my life a little bit easier. That's important. So so that's one example. Another example, like SEO plugins. I love playing around with SEO plugins and seeing the different features and how those are evolving, for sure. And then form plugins and the complexity and being able to pull in, integrate with other things. I spend some of my time doing stuff like that. So,
but only if they save in the database.
only if they save it in the database. Yes. So,
I want to recapture that information somehow. For sure.
Yep.
Have you had a mentor at any point during your WordPress or business journey, whether it was an official capacity or not, and who was it?
Yeah. So when we started out with GoWP, Troy Dean was a integral part of the transition from going from an agency to a productized service like GoWP. And he knew the agency space, the agency owners as the kind of the target audience. He knows that very, very well. That's who he coaches and works with, and really knows that space. And so for over a year, working with Troy, maybe two or three calls a month. We would talk pretty often. That was cool. And he's so talented. He's so smart. And he was instrumental to the business. And then more recently, Chris Lemma is our coach. And Chris is, I mean, if you've ever met Chris Lemma, I mean, he is just, or heard him, listened to him. And if you've been in the WordPress space, you have. He's absolutely incredible. He's so smart. There's never a challenge or issue or a problem that I can kind of throw at him or bring to him and him not say, oh, have you seen my spreadsheet that solves that exact problem?
He's the king of spreadsheets.
It's incredible. Or here's a video that walks you through exactly the question you asked and the answer and how it worked for others. And it's like that's Chris. So he has that deep level of knowledge, just that on the fly, which is really incredible. So we have been so fortunate between Troy and Chris, and then others that we've known even in the WordPress space that have helped us. Like it's a very giving community I learn a lot from others all the time. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I can attest to both of them being brilliant, and so that's good that you've been able to work with them as well.
Yep.
Okay, so take Troy and Chris off the list for a minute, because I don't want you to say the same names, but
sure.
who's
Gotcha. Yep.
Who's somebody or somebodies in the WordPress community that you admire, and why?
Good, really good question. I would say, can I list? Can it be people?
Yeah,
plural?
sure.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So I think like Lindsay Miller and Corey Miller, for sure, who, having built a business, a successful business, sold the business, worked for a larger company, raised their family, support and advocate for causes that they believe in. I could go on and on. They're fantastic people, and so they're definitely, I think, worthy of anyone's admiration, and I've been impressed with what they do.
And didn't they just launch a new business too? An e-commerce?
They've got several things going, I think, but Corey is part of now Post Status, and I think he launched e-commerce journey site, I believe, to help others with their starting up an e-commerce site. So, but yeah, they have their hands, I think, in a lot of different things, and they're just great people. And then the someone else I would mention is Kathy Druin, and Kathy is here in Atlanta, and she's a volunteer, has been the lead sponsor wrangler for WordCamp US, and is on the community team, and participates and gives so much to the WordPress project. But I absolutely love Kathy. She is one of my favorite people in the world. She has been so accepting of me when I've lived in Atlanta for 5 years. So I was from Georgia, but moved here from another part. And Kathy at the time was lead organizer of WordCamp Atlanta. And just the welcoming nature and connecting and helping and encouraging, and she's just fantastic. And so I love Kathy, and she's so important and good for the WordPress community.
Completely agree with you. She's amazing. I've worked with her on the WordCamp US team too, and she's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
What's something you'd like to learn in WordPress but you haven't tackled yet?
Ooh. Probably Gutenberg or the block editor. That's a confession. I don't use it often. I just don't. I use like other page builders, and I use the classic editor, and I'm more familiar with the classic editor, and I just have not invested the time to really do much with Gutenberg, and so that's probably it. If there's a glaring lack of knowledge across the WordPress space for me, and there is, that's at the top of the list. So
you're not alone. That answer has come up quite a bit, actually.
Okay, all right, cool.
What's one of the biggest mistakes you've made in WordPress, and what did you learn from it?
Oh,
I asked the hard questions.
Yeah, these are. I like the first questions better, Michelle. These are hard.
This is that hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, I think there's been so many. I would. I think not. We are really just now investing the time to hone in on our KPIs as a team. Is it okay if it's business related, or does it need to be WordPress related?
No, anything. Okay.
Yeah. So there have always been metrics that I have kept up with and tracked informally, sometimes a little more formally. But because of the disjointed systems that we have, it's sometimes hard to collect those across the business and each department. And so we're just now honing in on that, and it's a process, and getting everyone on board, and like these are the indicators that'll tell me how things are going per department, and then I can break a lot of different things down. I mean, some really important questions like your net profit ratio by service line, right? That's really important to know. Like, are some of your services a lot more profitable? And then you dig in from there. And so we have an inkling of things like that, and there are ways I can kind of get at, but we've never really taken the time to say, how do we get all of this right? And so I feel like when you're growing and times are good, you sometimes are like, let's just grow it. Things, bank account keeps growing, everything's going well, right? So let's not prepare. And then you have something like this, the pandemic, where it's like, okay, maybe you're not going to grow at the same rate, or maybe there are going to be other issues that crop up that you need to look at, or maybe the services you're providing are not the services you need to be providing right now. And so having the metrics to be able to look at that, so that you've got the indicators to say there's an issue, that we should have done 5-6 years ago. And so that's something I think probably one mistake. So
I think that's good advice to other people as well. Just because the business is all doing well doesn't mean all silos in the business are doing well. Focus your attention on the things that make money.
That's right. Yeah. Sure. And it provides clarity and focus to the team also.
Absolutely.
Instead, like we can experiment and iterate, and we can do but is it to what end? Like, is that actually moving things forward? So
sometimes it causes you to have to make hard decisions, but that still benefits everybody in the long run. So
right.
Absolutely. Well, what's your proudest WordPress moment?
I would say WordCamp Atlanta, the the closing remarks of WordCamp Atlanta. Not this. Well, we didn't have this past year. The year before.
Did you win the Bluehost TV? Is that why?
So no, I did not. I did not. I have never won the Bluehost
No, me either.
Bluehost TV, but people, let's see, Aaron Ryman, my friend, has. Brett Phillips, my friend, like, so a lot of my friends have won that, and I have never done it. Like, so where you're supposed to wear like Bluehost swag and walk by the table over and over. Like, I put my glasses on and walk by the table 20 times to get a ticket in. I still never won it. But anyway, but in the closing remarks of 2 years of having been co-lead organizer along with my friend Mickey Mellon, putting on a big word camp. It's a big word camp. It's an all year long, sometimes more than a year long process. That just being done with that, but also just the celebration that we as a team have done this. It's over, but it's been an awesome experience. So that's it. I think we've done a really, our organizing team is top notch in Atlanta, and we did a really good job.
That's exciting for sure.
Yep.
If you weren't working in technology and web tech at all, what's another career that you might like to attempt?
Oh, this is easy. Basketball coach. I'd be a basketball coach without a doubt. I really love the game of basketball, and I would do that. I don't care what level. Like, it can be like 5-year-olds, whatever. And I did. My daughter is 9, and I coached her team this year, and I will again next year. And as long as she'll continue to play. I did, when I taught school, I coached as well, high school, JV and high school. And I love the game of basketball. So yeah, at some level as an assistant or something, I would want to coach basketball.
You are the first person on the show to ever say that. I love it. That's awesome. That's great. It's something you can do with your daughter. So that's really nice too, for sure.
That's really cool.
What's something on your bucket list?
The easiest thing right now, and especially that you dream of, is traveling again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I would say there are places that I'd love to travel to. I haven't been, I've never been to Europe. So there are many places in Europe that I would want to go to. Probably the top of my list for some reason. And I don't know if you've been there, but Mont Saint Michel would probably be that's just something since high school I've wanted to go to, and I'm probably from French class, and I think visiting there would be really, really cool. But even places like, I'd like to go to Barcelona, I'd like to go to Rome, there's so many places I think, but yeah, traveling somewhere, but yeah, I'd say Mont Saint Michel at the top of the list.
I've also never been to Europe, and that's on my bucket list as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
When are we going?
I know, right? We got to get some word camps over there so we can write it off.
That's exactly right. I know. Yeah. And I was supposed to go to the UK back in May for Lee Jackson's agency transformation live conference, and ended up being virtual. But I thought about, could I extend that a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, and go to Porto for WordCamp Europe, and then all of this. So yeah,
it's been a different world than we expected. That's for sure.
Yeah. Show
us or tell us about a hidden talent that you have that people in the WordPress community might not know about.
I am a very good foosball player. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I mean, I would say very good. Like, if it's someone that's like really like, they're like a foosball player, but playing among friends, I can usually do okay, right? So that talent was developed at one of my first jobs while I was in college. I took a year off and worked for a startup, and it was back in the heyday of the .com bubble. So I mean, you had a Star Wars arcade machine. I think it was Star Wars pinball machine. You had they had a whole thing set up like in the loading dock area, but one was a foosball table. And it was just one of those things where, you'd work for about 20 minutes and then someone would come by and be like, hey, you want to go foos? It's like, all right, we go back and we go for like an hour, then we come back and then you'd work a little bit more and somebody else come by, hey, you want to go foos? And so we all, of course, we were working long days, but I developed decent foosball skills during that time, and I enjoy playing. So that's
pretty cool. My best arcade type game is skee ball.
Oh yeah, love it.
I used to do really good at skee ball. I'm not so much anymore, but it's been a while. You got to hone those skills to keep those skills.
Yeah, I always find like the top right and top left corner now for some reason that's worth no points. But
it's like I used to get right there in the middle. Whatever happened to that?
And my 9-year-old daughter, like going to Dave and Buster's is like her treat. Like that's what she loves. If she could do anything, Daddy, let's go to Dave and Buster's. And so going there, and then she's like taunting me while she's like racking up points on
blindfolded.
Yeah, right. She's so good at it, and it's like
that's awesome.
I used to be.
It happens. We have to turn these things over to the next generation at some point.
That's at some point. That's right.
So how do we find you online? The website, your Twitter, all that stuff.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is mbradmorrison. My Facebook, Brad Morrison. You look me up. My picture will be there. And then email brad@gowp.com. And then business, gowp.com. You can reach out there. So, and yeah, and anything, like even our little, like the chat widget on the website, just say, hey, I want to talk to Brad. And it'll find me. So.
Okay. And anybody listening to the show will have all of these links in the show notes at WPCoffeeTalk.com. Just look for Brad's episode and you'll find all this awesome information to be able to reach out and connect. So anything else you'd like to share before we sign off for the evening?
No, I think that I probably overshared. This has been so great, though. Thank you. Like I love the conversational style of this, and I appreciate your questions. And I've really, really enjoyed this. So thanks for having me on, Michelle.
Well, thanks so much for being here. It's been nice to get to know you even a little bit better. So fantastic. Yeah. Well, to everybody else out there in Coffee Talk Land, we'll see you on the next episode. Stay safe. Bye.